Guys, namaste, God bless. How are all of you? The hell was that? Zah. Happy Wednesday. Well, some Wednesday wisdom today. And I'm going to practice my Dutch here for America's Mentor. Hagel. I gotta get this. Hageslag. There you go. Hageslag. Happy Hageslag Day from America's Mentor. And the reason why it's special is because it's National Sprinkle Day. Yeah, those little confectionaries developed by a Dutchman back in the early 1900s that was made for bread and butter. I mean, who would have thought you're going to put sprinkles on bread and butter? But that's what they thought back then, and by the 1930s, it was brought here for obviously better reasons, and I'm grateful for that. But I'm not going to pronounce that shit again. I tried, had it all broken down in syllables. It wasn't going to work. But what if I told you that I have in my possession, right here, the list for the Fountain of Youth, the endless possibilities in life, which none of you freaking believe anyway because of our conditioning, but it can change, mind you, it can change. The recipe for to get rid of all your ills and everything that bothers you in life. But it requires commitment. It requires a choice. It requires cultivation of your emotional garden every day. And this will turn into a natural state of mind. And this, honestly, was introduced to me 21 years ago. Actually, 2006, 19 years ago, when The Secret came out. A quantum physicist, this is like a 30-second slot in the movie, more towards the end. John Hagelin introduced this to me. I didn't believe it. I was like, no, this is bullshit. You know, he said this emotion literally changes the genetic structure of the human body. And mind you, 20 years ago now, quantum science was still, it was out there, it was getting there, but wasn't as big as it is now. John Hagelin introduced me, not to sprinkles, but happiness. Yeah. What I showed you, and I'm going to read them very quickly, are the benefits of cultivating a happy life. May sound passe to some, indeed, because we've been taught, basically since day one, to be in this fight or flight mode. Competition, you have to compete for everything in life. I mean, how the hell can you be happy in life when you're fighting for everything? And people couldn't understand this with me because, to me, if you're fighting, you're either going to quit or you're going to lose, no matter what. It's a loss in any take. But yet now it's prevalent on every YouTube channel, the reels out there. People are just going nuts. But yet when I saw the other day this 90-year-old guy sitting on his porch, jacking a Cuban with a big shot of Jack in his hands, looking happy, I said, wait, there's got to be a way to this, because it's not what you're putting in, it's what you're cultivating in your life that changes everything. And to me, up spiral life on Instagram gave a great depiction of how to cultivate happiness in your life. Because indeed, we have to cultivate this garden every day. And people who know me at work, know me as a guy who's always looks serious and quiet, because I don't want anyone to not be mean, but to take my peace. And at work, it's busy, it's competitive, it's the passion that I love, but I choose not to live in the environment mentally, because right there, then that'll destroy you, to beyond control. But living in this cultivated state of happiness, mind you, this powerful emotion, hence energy emotion, improves the cardiovascular health instantaneously. A stronger immune system. This might be the reason why when I was working during COVID 7 days a week for about 2 years, I never contracted it. Mind you, no shot, no nothing. Yet I was surrounded by 10,000 people a day coming in and out and doing their thing. And at that time, hoarding was a big thing back then, man. But I credit my inner state of being to strengthening my immune system, indeed, reducing stress, better sleep, longevity. That explains the guy jacking a Cuban with a big glass of Jack Daniels on the front porch, about 90 years old. Reduce risk of anxiety and or depression. Enhance resilience. Indeed. Improving coping mechanisms. And you can think a lot clearer when you're happy, man. Increase creativity, productivity, stronger relationships, greater generosity. Shall I go on? It just goes on and on and on. The benefits of you tending this emotional garden every day is so critical to your well-being in general, in essence, your longevity, how you're going to age, because as Hagelin said, it affects everything from your genetic structure, your DNA, your genetic expression, how your body reacts. I mean, look at somebody who is, haggard in their 40s. I mean, think about it, what they've been through in their life. You can tell what a person's been through just by looking at the marks on their face. And it's a hard thing for people to realize, because we've been conditioned for decades, and probably decades, of how we had to fight for everything in life. We really don't. We really don't. And that was the hardest pill for me to swallow, being a male. That was the hardest thing for me to understand and realize, that no, you don't fight for anything. As Psalm 91:1 said, he that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. The Most High is the highest frequency of your energy, your creation machine. When you get involved with that kind of lifestyle, the world is your oyster. You're going to create the most amazing things, but you have to retrain and recode the mind that you live in right now. And out of the quote box today, happiness is a choice. So is misery. Yeah, I wrote that many moons ago. Understanding that, yes, we have to cultivate it. And yes, it's a daily process. Yes, it's not arduous. It's not. It's really not. Well, when you get to the point of doing something every day becomes habitual. And imagine having a habit like that every day, of cultivating your desires, your dreams, and living in that mindset, no matter what's going on in the shit show. To me, that's the greatest gift, to deter your mind from what's going on out here, to only understand what's going on the inside, and living by that every day. I'm also going to give you a bonus from Aristotle out of the quote box. Happiness depends on ourselves. If you're looking outside for something that's going to make you happy, which I've been very guilty of for many moons, you are in deep shit. You are in deep trouble, because out there getting attached to something, you lose your power first and foremost, but you're looking for disappointment. You are absolutely looking for disappointment. And a couple of words for that, for you guys to understand. This is what you've got to change to find that happiness, to have it become unnatural to a natural state. It's called default. Default is selection made usually automatically or without active consideration, hence neglect and or failure. We fail to realize that every emotion, for it to become a natural state, has to be cultivated every single day. How do you do that? Doing what you love to do, thinking about what you want, believing in who you are. And this is why affirmations are powerful. Some people think they're repetitive and redundant. I get that. I truly get that, because without emotion, indeed, you're basically just talking verbatim of words that don't make sense. When you start adding your 5 senses on how you feel about the words that you're articulating every day, you start realizing it. And we already do that now. I'm a failure. I'm broke. Life's hard. Think about the emotions that those words that you say to yourself give to you. You realize why you're not cultivating happiness in your life. And the next word is perspective. Perspective is awesome, because when you think of happiness, I'm going to get to up spiral life's words on this, because they're really powerful. When you think about what perspective is how you see things. How you see things is how things come back to you. How you see things is how you bring things. A mental view is a definition of that, with synonyms of outlook and viewpoints. When you consider your outlook in life, when you really think about how you feel about life, this is when you start realizing what you're thinking about. Most importantly, what you're feeling about life. And most importantly, what you keep planting every day. Your mind is an emotional garden. You really grasp that. Picture this garden every day. And all you're doing is every day you're planting whatever you desire in there. A lot of people are putting in there what they don't desire. A lot of people are putting in there things that shouldn't be there. Oh, I have to fight for this job. I have to make the month's rent. I have to. I mean, you're putting yourself in an emotional state of chaos. You know, I'm going to digress here for a second here. One of my heroes from the Osbournes, you know, Ozzy passed away, obviously. It's been international news now for the past 24 hours. You know, much love to the Osbourne family. One of the heroes from that show you did not see. And she was adamant. She goes, I don't want any part of this. I don't want any part of this lifestyle. So I'm going to go back home to England. When that show first came out, Amy Osbourne, who is now, I think, in her early 40s, the minute that show came out, she split. She goes, Dad, I'm out. This is not good for me. I can't live a life of chaos like this anymore. Now you're adding cameras and people into our private lives. I'm out. It's not good for my well-being. That's great, because she just, you know, she chose the latter. She understood that quantum science, because if it takes your peace, it's going to destroy you. I mean, not to get into any kind of banter about what's this, what's that, about the Osbournes in general, but if you look at a picture of her now, I mean, you can see why. You can see why. The genetic expression of her being her true self, out of the limelight, out of the chaos, out of the stress and fighting for something. I mean, she didn't want to ride the family name. She wanted to be her own uniqueness. And and what cultivated from that? Happiness from being that uniqueness. And she's an unsung hero. And hopefully she'll actually watch this show and to realize it. And, you know, for her to take a stance like that and say, you know what, I can sit here rich, wealthy, and unhappy, or I can be myself and create my own path. How many of you would do that? Turn down all this fame and fortune, but yet live a life of chaos rather than pursuing what you truly are, which eventually is going to create your true happiness in life. So few people realize that. And I'll get to my point here. I've been digressing topic to topic here. UpSpiral_life on Instagram. This guy is power, man. I love this guy. Really just a happy friggin' soul. I love it. I love every part of it. He mentioned happy people do one thing completely different from people who aren't very happy. See if this relates to you. Mind you, in private, nobody's going to see it, so you can really be honest with yourself. And that was the hardest thing for me, was to be totally, blatantly honest with the person that I was emitting every day. You realize what you're getting when you realize what you're emitting, the energy, the emotions every day. You know, the pain will go away real quick when you cultivate a better garden. Believe me when I tell you. He says, I'll repeat it, happy people do one thing completely different from people who aren't very happy. With happy people, you'll find one pattern. They don't wait for life to get good. Instead, they decide it's already good, even when it's messy. Because according to neuroscience, your brain is a meaning-making machine, and happy people give their lives better meaning on purpose. Indeed, it's a cultivated act every day that we have to practice. People think happiness comes natural. It's not. It's a trained, cultivated emotion that you have to keep doing every day. Doesn't matter what's going on, like I said, what's going on in the outside world. You want to feel better. You want to not have all these ailments keep bothering you and chronic illnesses. I mean, the body is an amazing structure. Between our left and right ear is a CVS megastore. It's a store that makes all the drugs we need. It's your flu shot. It's everything you need to have this amazing feel-good life, but you have to give it the right kind of chemistry for it to create the right kinds of chemicals that will make you feel better. And what does that in neuroscience is your emotions, your feelings into the quantum field. And if you guys will do your research on that, you'll realize that we are just a chemical factory, that we can create any kind of toxins, or we can create the best remedies in our life. And what starts that is how we think. And how we think creates how we feel. And if we keep doing that repetitively, it becomes habitual. Then it turns into a behavior and then a lifestyle. But you got to keep doing it. You got to make the conscious choice every day, that 10%, their frontal lobe, to create the mindset and live in that every day, not from your storehouse, your subconscious mind. The brain is just an electronic switching station. Think about that. Bob Proctor introduced me to that, which is an amazing way to think of it. It's an electronic switching station. Your mind is going, with the 60 or 70,000 thoughts a day, going to the electronic switching station and creating the chemicals to create how you feel. That's all it's doing. And when you have control of where it's going, that's when life starts changing. But you have to keep doing it every day. You got to make the commitment. You got to make the commitment to dwell in the end result of having what you truly desire, whether it's happiness of being somewhere, having something, and you put yourself there in a conscious state every day. They call it transcendental meditation. People need to do that to get to that state. Bullshit. I meditate all day long, man. Meditation to me is a thought process. I want to be able to not focus on the outside world. I want to be able to just live on my inside world, because I know from my inside world, it's going to create the better outside world I want to experience. Let me finish what the hell I was saying. I digress again. I get the attention span of a gerbil. Because according to neuroscience, your brain is a meaning-making machine. And happy people give their lives better meaning on purpose. This is not delusion, but installment. That right there should be the friggin' answer to your question. You're installing a new hard drive. You're changing the default button on this amazing computer of our mind to go in the way you want to think every day. It may feel hard. It's like me when I first started journaling. I want. When I realized I'm not going to get what I want, I'm going to get who I am. And you create that by cultivating the emotions every day of being in that state of mind until it becomes a natural way of thinking. That's why people in a chaotic household, hence like I was saying before, can't ever imagine true happiness because they're so used to fighting all the time. Whereas people in a house of peace, it's a natural state. It's cultivated. It's now become their default mechanism, their coping mechanism in life. It's their shelter. Well, when you realize you're creating your inner home is going to be your outer home. So if what's going on in your outer home is chaos and craziness, that's basically what's going on the inside. It's until you change that, like Amy did. She radically didn't want any part of it. She goes, no, I'm out, see you later, goodbye. She basically just split at the age of 16, back home she went. She didn't want any part of it. And I respect them for that. I mean, we all have our own personalities. We're all not going to fit in, even with the opportunities that come to us every day from other areas in our life. You don't have to fit in. You just got to be yourself, no matter what it takes. Have you got the courage to do that, to turn down this? Would you turn down a life like that for inner peace and happiness? I'd do it in a heartbeat. 20 years ago? Bullshit. That's what I mean about cultivating. Because you realize that the outside world can never give you happiness. It's you that's creating the happiness that cultivates your outside world. So really think about that. This is not delusion, but installment, but daily installment. Neuroscience 101. Focus on what's good, and your brain starts rearranging itself to find more of it automatically. Hence your RAD, your reticular activating system. Why can't I speak these free... The RAS, the reticular activation system, starts the process. What you focus on, this is the part of your brain's going to say, okay, let's go find more of that. In a, juvenile way to explain it. So this is why what you focus on, you bring upon. When you realize that in life, you realize what you're attracting in life. He goes on to say, don't change your life. Change how you see your life. It's a small move, but it moves everything over time. I underscore this. You'll build a habit from it. That's the whole point. That's the whole point. That's everything in a friggin' nutshell. Happiness depends on ourselves, but a conscious choice every day to cultivate the garden. So what kind of emotional garden are you planting every day? What kind of thoughts are you thinking about every day? This is where transformation takes on a whole new level in your life. Because if you choose happiness every day, You choose, look, I'm gonna cultivate that life inside that I've always wanted. Wherever you are right now. This is what I'm talking about. For people, how do you cultivate happiness? Whatever your desire is, whatever it might be in life, you live in that. Live in having it. This is why imagination is so powerful. It's the creation before the creation. Imagine having that desire you've always wanted. Imagine having the love of your life that you've always wanted. All the finances that you've always wanted. This is what I'm talking about. This is how you create not the happiness, but the emotions associated with it. Because from there, the reticular activation system kicks in. And other parts of the brain kick in to guide you to get there on a physical plane. But it all starts within, guys. It all starts with you making that choice, like I said before, the conscious choice every day. What brings me happiness? Cultivate that garden. Plant that emotional seed every day. Water it with thought. Watch how your life friggin' changes. And when you change how you look at things, the things you look at change. So happy Wednesday to you guys. It's hot up here, man. The penthouse is hot tonight. That's because I had to close the shades, man. Or else it'd be too light in here. America's Mentor _radio. I'm going to get some speech lessons. Still got to figure out these friggin' words. _radio on Instagram. At America's Mentor on Twitter. I gotta check my system here. On Twitter. The porno and politics spectrum that I avoid. Why am I on there? I don't even belong on there. I'm digressing again. Hashtag America's Mentor on YouTube, guys. Join me there. Much love for the follows. I'll talk to you guys soon. Remember, happiness is the choice. So is misery. We create the happiness within ourselves. Remember that. We are the creator of everything in our life. But it all starts on how we feel and what we bring to the table every day inside, which is what produces outside. Guys, enjoy your Wednesday. Talk to you guys soon, man.